Hello. I don't normally do these because I'm not really a Master Duel Yu-Gi-Oh channel, but I feel as if this does affect me in terms of the Masochist series. So I guess I will cover it, and just my general attitude on my main account. Um, so they came up with the new ban list. You know, they hit Tenpai, good. Buff Trickstar. I hear the reincarnation loops can be quite degenerate, especially with Droll and Lockbird, and of course the burning. But Trickstar got new support. I mean, like, I don't know the context of this card, so I'm not gonna comment on it. Dragon Link got buffed with Quick Launch, and White Dragon Wyvern Burster coming back to 3. I mean, I don't know how good Dragon Link's going to be, but who knows? It might be good. M-Pen coming to 3 doesn't really do much for Flu. Flu usually played only 2 anyways. A lot of their consistency tools and D-shifters been hit, so excuse me. So, like, I don't know if it'll be better. We might see people play it more because of 2 M-Pen, but Sky Striker Hornet drones. I hear Sky Striker only plays 2, and then it's mainly just used to get like generic links on board. That's fine, I guess. And then Herald of Orange Light. Maybe we might see a resurgence of Drytron with this, but I think this will actually be more of a boost to Melodious. Excuse me. Because Melodious are all fairies, and this is a hand trap that's basically a better basically just a kind of a better gamma, in the sense if you don't have to play a Garnet, you just need another fairy in hand. And you know, I just built Melodious, or at the very least, pure Melodious, and this will definitely be a buff to it. The one thing, however, but the reason why I bring this up is because what you'll notice isn't on here. Maxi. Now, the thing about Maxi is we've all kind of gotten used to Maxi, so you don't really expect it to be on the list, because for some reason this just kind of proves that, you know, a hard leg Joe, if you haven't watched his if you don't watch his content, he said several times that Master Duel is kind of a Clown Shoes format because it has a Clown Shoes list. I mean, Fairy Tail Snow, Aurora Dawn, and Galaxy Tomahawk are still legal. Granted, you could say that Tomahawk and Aurora Dawn aren't doing as much anymore, but the fact that they are still legal is, I don't know. It just doesn't feel right for them to be legal. And they brought back Masterpiece and Nightmare Goblin, Nightmare Mermaid, which I don't know if Mermaid is doing that much anymore. I don't know if the Nightmares are doing much. I do know that there was an uptake in True Draco because, you know, Masterpiece and Diagram got to 3, both of them. And obviously people have been playing Verte, even though DPE is the objectively better Verte target. Or sorry, not Verte, Dragoon. Dragoon is, DPE is a better Verte target than Dragoon. But then again, without Celestial was also a big reason why it was that. But also at the same time, like, whatever. That's getting into the weeds a bit. But so they'd see it as kind of the Yu-Gi-Oh, not as a serious competitive game, but as a, like, here's the silly combo game where you can do like FTKs and just put up a bunch of billion interactions and whatnot. And like, I mean, sure, I guess the TCG is also kind of like that from what I understand of it, but they at least got rid of shit like Baron and Savage and Apo and Maxi. But you know, but to kind of bring it back to Maxi, is that rumor has it, and this came from Decade sources, and Decade sources have been right pretty much. Has been consistently right. They may have been wrong about a couple things. Like, I think they were wrong about Verte getting banned when Dragoon came back, but Verte is still legal. Whatever. But the Mulcharmies are coming now. The Mulcharmies, for maybe those who don't know, they are like Maxi in the sense of if you summon, I think Perulia, if you summon from the normal special from the hand, draw a card, but you have to control no monsters to activate them. So already, it's primarily a going second card. It's a card that happens if you had to lose the coin toss or you're going second deck like Tenpai, and you would just use the Mulcharmies. Same thing with Fuwas, or whatever, how the fuck you ever pronounce it. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm coming down with a little bit of a cold. Where that one is from deck or extra deck. And then you have to shuffle a number of cards back into your hand. I think it's like if I don't know, it's some weird restriction, right? It can't just be like shuffle cards back into your cards, up to the number, randomly shuffle up to the number which you drew. So like if you started with 5 and you had 6, you would randomly shuffle back 6 or something like that, right? You shuffle back the number on which you drew, which, whatever, but that's kind of another day. But they have restrictions and they have drawbacks, where after you draw a certain amount of cards, and if your opponent has a certain amount of monsters on board, you do have to randomly shuffle some back. I'm not gonna get into the minutia, but at the very least, hypothetically speaking, there is a downside, sort of. They're still at the very least more balanced, so you can't just set up your board, then maxi your opponent, and it's like, good luck playing through disruption and giving me cards. So there's that. The issue is that you can use the Mulcharmies and maxi together. That's not gonna be good for the game. And it might affect me playing Master Duel, at the very least on my main account, but even the Masochist series, because like maxi I don't really care too much about. I don't special summon that often because it's a Masochist deck, and I can special summon, but I'm not special summoning that much, like if at all. The Mulcharmies, however, with maxi, could change that, because I could just, if I'm going first, I could get Maxied Perulia Fulos right in the same turn, right before I do anything. So even if I just like normal summon, I don't know, let's say I set one of my beefy defense walls and one card, he still gets to draw one, and he doesn't have to shuffle any back. That's still one card. But if I draw like a decent opener, right? Like I have, let's say I get like a monster that can special summon itself via an effect, so it's not like an inherent summon like Cyber Dragon, right? They can chain those 3. They can chain 2 of them, and then they'll get 2 cards, right? It might even affect my Masochist run, just because it would just kind of negatively impact, because you can still get some value off of them even with a shitty deck that summons once, maybe twice a turn and doesn't really do anything. And it also, I don't think, bodes well, because if they're willing to like have more combo enablers, like so not necessarily combo, more or less generic combo tools, I guess, if you want to call it that, stuff that can like allow you to just go and go and go and go. They're probably taking the wrong lesson for maxi, and kind of like, well, if these 3 cards are legal at the same time, we can let people go crazy. That'll balance the game, right? And it's just going to be kind of miserable. So I don't know. It might affect me just playing Master Duel on my main account, depending on what I see and experience on ladder, and what I see in terms of maybe play rates. My ultimate cope is that because Master Duel is best of 1, the Mulcharmies will not see as much play. Aside from going second decks or just putting them in there as like in case you lose the coin toss, I don't know if people are gonna want to have 9 slots just for that shit. However, you never know. We might see people do that, even if it's bad. Just the idea of I go second, I drop these 3 cards, I get a bunch of advantage. It sounds fucking degenerate, really. It sounds like absolute fucking degeneracy, and I don't know. I don't know if I want to deal with that. So, yeah, that's kind of my cope. And there was a leak that potentially Max T would get semi-limited, maybe? Which, that's like absolute clown shoe shit. Semi-limited Max T is like, why? Just ban it. You have the Mulcharmies, just ban it. But, of course, if they did that, they might actually have to start, hitting a lot of the stuff that theoretically Max C does kind of keep in check, like the Auroradon and Galaxy Tomahawk piles that can't really play a lot of counters to it, that have to play primarily all gas. But at the same time, just ban Galaxy Tomahawk and Mecha Phantom Beast Auroradon. I mean, it's not that hard. So yeah, that's kind of my take, because it does concern me for the future of Master Duel and my investment in it, and that it does include Masochist, which I'm very early on. I only have 2 episodes out, and I probably should have started it sooner, but it's whatever. Because we already have a hand trap issue, quote unquote, right? Where, like, especially in the TCG, and in Master Duel as well, you have to, like, put, like, at least 9 slots for hand traps to some degree. Which, I'm not against the idea of hand traps, but that's a whole different conversation in and of itself that doesn't just apply to Master Duel, but the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! As a whole. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts. I'll keep chugging along with Masochist. We'll see if the Mulcharmies actually do see a lot of play. I think they will, regardless if it's any good or not, because if you've played Yu-Gi-Oh!, like, if you see a card especially in an archetype that's like, do a thing, draw a card, you're like, yes. There's like that dopamine rush. If you're just drawing cards, kind of like playing like tier limit, you just like, let's gamble. Let's just mill a bunch of shit to the graveyard and see what we get. It's that dopamine rush that we all kind of like. But, and they're probably going to be UR as well, which, I mean, like, if they're going to be UR, like, ban Max C so we can at least get 3 copies of one of them. You know? I think that's a fair trade. But I guess we'll have to see. Maybe they might do an emergency ban when the pack comes out. Kind of like what they did with Silva. They emergency banned the Dark World, Silva of the Dark World or whatever. Because when the new Dark World support came out, because I wanted to stop the hand loops. Granted, Silva is now back, but Dark World's not really doing anything. You know, imagine that. Outside of, like, maybe Platinum or whatever. At least the hand loop variant. Maybe, like, the spam a bunch of generic onboard shit, whatever. But, yeah, so those are my thoughts. We will see if I continue Masochist. If the triple fucking nuisances, if it becomes an issue, then I guess maybe I'll stop until until Maxi is potentially banned or at least limited. But we'll have to see. The OCG has had Maxi and the Mulcharmies legal at the same time for quite a while. For some reason, I know not why. Yeah, so that's really all I have for today. I will see you all whenever the next video is.